Hello, I'm so glad you're back. If you don't know me, I'm Amanda Kelder. I'm a Christian weight loss and life coach. And today, I just want to talk about making things simpler. The simpler, the better. And I cannot stress that enough. I don't know if you can relate to this, but I know in the past I used to do things like my friends used to talk me into diets or exercise routines or the latest craze to losing weight, whatever it was. And maybe you've been in this cycle before where, like, 2 weeks ago, your friend talked you into Whole30 and you've been on a good run, right? You haven't been cheating, you've been eating everything according to the food list, you're even loving the food and the meal, and you're feeling really good. You're feeling like this is totally doable, I can handle this, this is good. And you're starting to see results too. You'll start losing weight, feeling better, gaining energy. And it definitely seems like something that you can sustain, that you could just live life this way. And then it happens. That crazy week happens in your schedule, right? With the multiple meetings in the evening, kids, games, and activities all happening during supper time, crazy work schedule where you're not getting breaks or lunches. Maybe your husband's been sick at home, and so very little help right there, right? Like it's just a nuts week. Everything that could be going wrong and mixing life up happens, right? So that means there's no time to plan, no time to prep, much less get groceries. You're just trying to hang on and survive, right? So you pause the Whole30. And you're okay with that. It's a crazy week. You just need to get to the next week. Maybe, get that husband feeling better. And then you can pick it back up, right? That's what you tell yourself. So the next week comes, but you're just finally getting your head above water. And any free time it seems like that you do have, it's like you want to rest. You just want to check out after the crazy week you had last week. You don't want to be cutting up vegetables, right? Or planning meals. Like, no way. So then you're telling yourself, okay, in a couple of days, I'll give myself a couple days of rest, and then in a couple of days, I'll get right back to Whole30. But then in a couple of days, you realize you have to run to the grocery store. Literally, your fridge is bare, and you don't have that much time. So you don't really get to make a plan or a list. So you just grab all the regulars and rush out the grocery store and just make what you normally had made in the past. And now you've kind of forgot about the Whole30. You can't even really remember everything that's on the list. And you're starting to just fall back into that old groove, right? The one that was more habitual and just easier and you just didn't have to think about it. And finally you realize, hey, I was doing really well on the Whole30. Why can't this just be like easier, less complex? Why couldn't I have made that a lifestyle? It didn't seem that hard when I was doing it. It just was a little more time consuming. But that's the problem. It's not that this diet is actually that complex. Like Whole30 isn't that, it's not rocket science, right? But your beliefs about that diet and what it takes to carry out that diet and to succeed at the diet, that is what's making it complex and time consuming. And maybe some of you are like, what do you mean what I'm believing, Amanda? Of course Whole30 is just complex. You ask anybody and they get at first really bogged down. Did you see how much energy I used to spend those first 2 weeks planning and prepping? And when clients tell me that, I get it. I used to be there too. And when you're making a change, it does take more intention. It takes more energy. But it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be complex. And you didn't necessarily have to spend that much energy on it. Maybe there was an easier way. This brings up a story. Uh, it involves my son. He's 7, almost 8 right now. And he is notorious at like dragging everything out of his room and leaving it everywhere in the house, just like everywhere, okay? And I'll ask him to pick up all of his stuff and put it back in his room. And what does he do? He picks up a couple of things, and instead of just picking up those couple of things and bringing them into his room, no, he just keeps going and trying to add more and more and more, where he can't even hold it. So it's all falling out, and so something falls, and then he gets frustrated, and he tries to pick it up again, instead of just going to his room and dropping off a couple of things and then coming back to pick up the rest, right? So what maybe could have taken him like 2 minutes ends up taking him 10. And he actually ends up making more trips because he tries to get everything and he drops things along the way, and then he comes back, gets that one thing, puts that into his room. And then he comes back and gets a whole nother pile of things, drops a few of those along the way, goes back and forth way too many times, right? And then on top of that, what he does is he just sets the stuff on the floor in his room, right? Instead of putting it away. So when it's time to clean up his room, he has way more to do. Now, I can see this. I can clearly see that there's a better way. But he doesn't see it. He thinks that cleaning up is hard, that it takes so much work and takes so much time. So what does he create? It taking a lot of time and making it really hard. But it doesn't have to be that way. I promise you, like, if you want to do Whole30, there's an easier way to do it than what you did before, okay? But sometimes you have to learn from people that have walked through it being hard to learn the easier way, right? Like, I've picked up things for almost 40 years now, not quite, but almost 40 years now, and put them away. I understand what is faster and easier, right? And it's just like how I walk my clients through weight loss. I've been on that journey. I made it hard and frustrated and complicated for a really long time. I can totally relate to that. And I can help them find that easier way. The one that relies on self-control rather than willpower. The one that taps into God's strength rather than their own. A way of making eating healthy, moving their body, a lifestyle, something that's fun and enjoyable, something that they want to do instead of have to do, so that they keep doing it. So why am I telling you all this? I want to leave you with this question. Does God want to make things hard or complicated or unsustainable? That's not the God I know. That means if you're doing things and making decisions that are leading to things feeling hard and complicated and unsustainable, God's probably not in that decision that you're making. And that's one thing I really help my clients get really good at. Making these clear, intentional decisions, making them out of love, with love, because God is love, so God's in that decision. And learning how to simplify and listen to God's leading. I coach them to take the complicated out, because that's where the enemy loves to trip us up. I coach them on how to take the hard out, because it doesn't have to be hard. And if you want to make your weight loss journey simpler, less complicated, easier, so that even when life gets chaotic and tough, even when you have those weeks, those crazy weeks, you can stick to caring for that temple consistently. Like you have a baseline. And you don't go below that baseline. If that's what you want, I know how to help you. I will put the link for a discovery call if you want to talk that out, if you want to know what that actually looks like, what that means. If you want to get coached on how to make things simpler, clearer, more doable than anything you've done before, I'd be happy to chat. All right. I hope this got you thinking. And I would love for you to keep asking this question. Is there a simpler way? Does God have a better solution that he's trying to lead me to? And then look for that. All right. I hope you have the most blessed day, and we'll talk soon.